but I'm going to roll into our wrap up speaker. So Stacy Campbell is a name that maybe many of you don't know well if you're not from the Southwest region. And so let me just give you some background, because Stacy is awesome and he deserves a very well-rounded introduction. If I had an hour to tell you how great Stacy was, I could use an entire hour. I won't. So fun fact, Stacy grew up on a sheep farm. If you didn't know that, now you do. And his very first appointment as a rep, by the way, was with his grandparents. And he was so riveting that his grandpa fell asleep during the demo. First time I've heard that, Stacy. So you win that award. He today is at $101 million in Cutco career sales. He's a manager, of course. That's not all personal sales. That is a lot of sales to be responsible for. In 2021, Stacy's division, he's a division manager, his division won 6 silver cups at the management level. That is awesome. And they also won, of course, a division silver cup as well. Now, here's the thing. We didn't talk a lot about Lone Star. I know you guys keep hearing TGP. You heard about Bert, you heard about Nick's, you heard about a lot of different divisions during this event and the coordinator summit that was earlier. But Lone Star really is one of the top events teams as well. I know Brian talked about Lone Star today and all of the events they do and how a lot of the things that we use these days came out of Lone Star. So Josh Muller and Stacy Campbell were really the coordinator DVM duo who really set a standard on what it could be like, how good it could be for an events team when a DVM and a coordinator work so well together to really build a fantastic events program. And so I think a lot of things have been modeled after that since then. That was many years ago, of course, but Lone Star continues to kill it. And at the leadership with Dante in there now, Pat and Sides used to lead it. They've been through some great coordinators as well, and currently still do have a great coordinator, but also part of the credit has to go to Stacy for being such an amazing division manager and working so well with those coordinators. Stacy, actually, his son sells Cutco now too. And one of the things he's most proud of is that last year he and his son both won Cutco Silver Cups in the same year. And that's pretty exciting. He loves basketball, play it, watch it, and he loves Chiefs football games. He goes to those games pretty often as well. Those who know Stacy the best say this about him. He's disciplined. He's a hard worker. He's the slow, steady, highest level of success. Let's just constantly keep it moving forward with the growth. He's caring. He's a good strategist. In fact, his CSPs, I think this says a lot. His CSPs love him so much that even this year, after Stacy won the Silver Cup in 2021, I had one of his CSPs, and then more than one ended up in this too, but reach out to me because they wanted to send an email to their client base just to let them know how awesome Stacy is, that he won the silver and all those things and all the accolades that he deserved. That email wasn't about anything else other than thank you for your support. You helped my division manager win a silver cup. Here's who he is, and he's amazing. And I have to tell you, the fact that a CSP was willing to do that says so much. And I have to tell you, Stacy, I actually teared up a little when I was writing that email. I did write it for the person because they asked me to, but I used my own what I feel in my heart for Stacy to write that email. And I was actually making myself cry because you are just such an amazing person. I love you to death. When I asked Stacy about what movie he would be a part of, he said he would have wanted to play the Tom Cruise character, Questioning Jack, and A Few Good Men. And so I hope all of you can handle the truth, because here it comes from Stacy Campbell.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. You almost made me tear up in that one. Well, good afternoon, obviously, to all you lovely people. I'm kind of obviously my pleasure, my honor to kind of get a chance to be the wrap-up speaker when there's so many people who probably are more deserving of the championship mindset, as this message is kind of called for you all. I kind of want to bounce back. The last time I was at a NET was 2020, that January, early February of 2020. Some of you remember this one, right? Like some of you give the thumbs up, probably give a little wave. You remember this one, the one where a bunch of you left with some weird disease afterwards. I don't know if we've ever figured that out, but it seemed like something like that happened. Is that right? Like, I think something like that happened. When I went backwards in this, and I was looking at my 2020 message, and I said this in the message. Okay, I said this. I said, when you look at the impact that this group, meaning the event program, the service event program, things of that type, when you look back at that event, or you look back at that group, that you have the impact you have on the company, not just in event CPO, but in overall CPO, that you're generating and the event layer that you're producing, this room has massive impact. That's what I told you guys. I said, when I look at the future of the Vector Cutco world, I see a world where your impact and what you're building and what you're making of the rep opportunity for a brand new rep is much more exciting. More new reps are motivated by this group. Push weeks are better because of this group. The long-term CSP opportunity is better because of this group. And many of you are a big part of that. That's what I said 2 years ago. And now we sit here today, okay, 2 years removed from that. And not only is that happening, but what is happening in 2022, as Dave just told us at the beginning, $2.8 million in January, almost 20% better than the best ever January month. And you look at what happened in 2021, when all of a sudden now, this group of people, you all here, are getting the information from people who are $100,000 push weeks. Now, like in 2020, you realize in 2020, when I said that, $100,000 push weeks were an oddity. In just our little, 3 divisions that we had at SC2, there was like 6 people who did $100,000, not including the big numbers that the Rob Robin checks put up, and some of the Curtis's and some of these places around the country that put these numbers up. 50% growth. Events in 2021 were normal. Think about that. I remember last year talking to CSPs in the Lone Star division, and we were talking about, hey, you got to grow your event by 25, 35, 50%. I remember talking to Pat and Sides at one point and going, hey man, you're up 25% over your best year ever. That's pretty exciting. And he looked and he goes, yeah, but it's not good enough. Like, it's still not good enough, because that's where the bar has been raised by this group of people, the people you got to hear from today, and the things. $1 million shippers. 2 years ago, we'd had, I think, one of them, okay, is what we'd had in the history of the company. Now it's like we have multiple people doing it in a year, let alone taking years to accomplish it. We have people doing that. We have multiple people doing that. And I have a feeling, based upon the way 2022 is kicking off and the objectives that I think many of you have, I'm getting a pretty good guess that 2022, we're going to have a lot of $1 million shippers across this company. And I hate to call it commonplace, because it's still such an exciting thing to happen, but I think it's going to become a much more commonplace type thing. So you all are truly taking the business to the next level. And this is only the beginning. And being at this event, I'm telling you, is such a big opportunity for you to learn. Hopefully you've learned things like, I know things are on the agenda, like I didn't get to hear all the agenda this time around, but malls not during the holidays, smaller shows, better skills. Heck, I jumped on just to get on early, and I think I bought a set of flatware and 2 sets of cookware there or something. So higher average order sizes, just everything. So it's time for you to really take this to the next level personally, and take everything up a notch. In 2020, I talked about personal standards a little bit, and professional standards that were out there. And I realized, and I looked at the calendar and realized that a lot of you, got sick, and then you shortly thereafter, you went to your houses and were told to stay there for, 15 days, which turned into 200 days or whatever. So I bet that most of you never used a lot of that stuff that I covered. So I went, I think I'm just going to recycle that message. I'm not going to do that to you. However, looking at some of my notes, some of you are going to get some of those things that probably weren't bad ideas from a couple of years ago, and some things that'll help you out to move forward. So today, as we wrap up this event, from another really stellar lineup of speakers and information and knowledge and content, I want to talk about the championship mindset. Okay, that's what I've kind of been tasked with a little bit. So coming off of 3 silver cups from the division and pilot level, and then 3 more across the division, for a total of 6 at the management level, which I've been told is unprecedented, basically in the Cutco Vector world. I don't know if it is, but if somebody, I'm just going to roll that it was, because of the fact that that it's there. People go, so how did it happen? Like, like that's amazing. It's something that hasn't happened before. How did that happen? And you know what my answer to that is? I stuck around for a long time. That's what I did. I stuck around for a long time because I started as a district manager in 1995. I will bet out of the, well, what do you see? Out of the 296 people, plus the groups of people that are on, I'll bet that less than 25% of you were even alive in 1995 when I started as a district manager. Then you go to, I became a division manager in 2004. I've been in the division manager role 17 years to make that happen. If you hang around long enough, you get kind of the right people, the right programs around you. You know what? You get fortunate, you win sometimes. Okay, that's what happens. And I know that sounds a little tongue in cheek to you, but if you're taking notes on the championship mindset, I would actually tell you that, hey, if you desire to be Curtis Jacques, if you desire to be a person like a Dana Scortino or a Josh Mueller or a Mike Dowd or these names that you all know out there, I would write down point number one and I would say this: stick around for a while. Stick around for a while. Do you really think the names that you love in this business and you admire in this business, do you think that they hit their high performance level in year 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Do you think really that a Chelsea Rodriguez was like year 3? That was the year I crushed it. Okay. It's like, that's not how that works. Do you think when these people were 20 and 21 and 22 years old, that they sit there and even thought to themselves, yeah, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, I'll be that? No, probably not. But we all stuck around for a while. And now we have lifestyles and income opportunities and growth opportunities and travel opportunities and things that many people would admire. And they have a championship mindset that we wouldn't even have fathomed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or some of us in our year 1, 2, 3, 4 in the business, we would have never fathomed those championship mindsets that came around because we stuck around. Perseverance, consistency is the way to silver cups. It's the way to elite rep levels. It's the way to those things. Some of you know this. Like, I'm going to share my screen here with you real quick and give you just a couple of things. And if you haven't put it in side-by-side speaker mode or whatever, make sure you're in that so you'll be able to see these things and still see me, so you don't get lost in a PowerPoint or whatever. Some of you know the Outliers, the book, The Outliers. If you don't know the book, it's Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book about the outliers, about different levels. And one of the things of success, and one of the things they talk about in it, is that it takes 10,000 hours of intensive practice to achieve mastery of complex skills and materials. Okay, 10,000 hours. They reference things as an example, like playing a violin, or literally quotes, being as good as Bill Gates. Okay. I guess there should be an end quote there. I apologize for that. So being as good as Bill Gates, like, these are the kind of things where if you're going to be at this high level, if you're going to have a championship mindset, you got to have these. Now, people like to pick flaws in this 10,000 hour concept, by the way. And they put things out there like, well, it doesn't actually work with everything and all this kind of stuff. And I actually happen to agree with that to some degree. Like, I think of an example like singing. Okay. If I put 10,000 hours into singing, I will never be Adele. It's not going to happen, right? No matter how much time I put into it, probably talent goes somewhere. Golf, on the other hand, I'll use that example for you, is golf. I think somebody, if they played golf 10,000 hours, would get really good at it. You could be a person who makes a run as a professional golfer if you were to put 10,000 hours of intensive practice into it. And I'm not talking like what me and my family did a couple of days ago, where you go out to Top Golf and just try to hit the ball as far as possible. That's not intensive practice, okay? But intensive practice of mastery. But can I tell you, I think about our business, there's no talent, a special talent, or a special height, or a special voice, or a special something that's needed. Literally, if you want to be Jason Jeffrey, then put in 10,000 hours, because that's what he did. If you want to be Brandon Brown, put in 10,000 hours. If you want to be Alicia Andrew, put in your 10,000 hours. What is 10,000 hours? Like, what is 10,000 hours of intense practice? I actually broke it down. It's 417 full days. It's a year and a quarter, full days, 24-hour days. So what would that look like? Here's what I did. And some of you might argue this, I don't know about. It'd be 1,200 boost shifts, okay, is what it would be. 3 days a week, every single week for 6 to 7 years. And I have some people that I can see on the screen, and I'm sitting here looking back to Josh Mueller and going, that is how Josh Mueller actually got good at this business. He stuck around, and that's why he's good at it. I'm seeing Curtis Jacobs. I'm going, I bet you Curtis is sitting here going, yeah, I think I've done that 17 times. I think I'm up to, what would that be? I'm up to 70,000 hours, okay, of intense booth time. I'm just sitting there thinking, but yet so many of us want to pursue that, but we want it right now. We want it just instantaneously. Well, the championship mindset knows this right here, that I have to keep going. This would be, they talk about service events. You know what it'd be in service? It'd be doing service events or service calls 8 to 10 hours a day for 6 days a week for 3 straight years. Well, Stacy, you're out of line. I have a career I'm pursuing. I'm graduating college. I'm going to grad school. Like, I have a family. I have all this stuff. You're telling me I should quit school, and you're telling me I should dedicate my life to this. That's what you're saying. No, I am simply sharing with you the championship mindset. That is simply what I'm sharing with you. I'm simply sharing with you that if you go on to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or whatever it is that you plan on doing, a psychiatrist, a physiologist, whatever it is, guess what? It's going to take you 10,000 hours to be a champion of that particular business. It's going to take you time. So don't go, atting me and, sending messages to your DM and DVMs and saying, so now you're saying that I can't win this year, that I can't be a champion this year. No, you can absolutely be a champion this year. But I also want you to know something else. And that is that it takes some intense practice. It takes some intense effort on your part, in essence, to pull these things off in the mix. So that's why I would just tell you, oops, you see, okay. I would just tell you to make sure you're there. And I want to put this reminder out to you, if I can throw this out to you. Many of you have heard me speak before, probably have heard me talk about this. You're not entitled to growth. Put that in your notes. You're not entitled to growth. Champions understand they have to work for growth, that they have to put that in. You don't just go, well, it's 2022, so I'm going to sell more than I did in 2021. Why? Like what makes you say that? Well, I'm better. Better at what? Like, you're better at your booth, you're better at the service events, you're better at whatever you've been taught. That doesn't entitle you to growth. You have to work for it. You have to do those role playings that were just being done. You have to do those things over and over. Champions understand this concept. You have to work, be willing to learn for your expertise, be willing to make that move. I love when management candidates, talk to me about, I'm going to go be a CSP because, you know why? Because a Jerry Azing or a Rob Robincheck or these people, they have more flexibility and they have, they can make more money and all this kind of stuff. Those people work just as hard. You just don't see it because you're not sitting beside them every day like you might see sitting beside your manager. As a matter of fact, I would tell you, based on some of the things I hear, they might even work harder, daily, weekly, monthly, at what they do. But here's what my point is. All champions have a strong work ethic. That's a bonus point for you, by the way. That was not part of the process. But all champions have this work ethic that you have to realize, hey, I'm going to make things great. And most of you here, you're barely at 200 hours. Okay. So point number 1, stick around for a while. Okay. 6 silver cups. That's crazy. That hasn't happened before in the management sector. It only took me 17 years to get there. It took 17 years to make something like that happen. It wasn't an overnight sensation. So stick around for a while and you might be surprised, okay, at what you can get out of this business if you stick around for a while. Okay. Point number 1, put that down in your notes. Okay. I only have 4 for you, so we'll make it pretty quick and simple for you on this championship mindset. All right. What else we got? You guys got this. I went to the next slide and it did not move on. There you go. So second thought for you is this. Stick around. Second one is, hey, learn that average is okay. Okay, now I know that when you hear this, man, people just go, average sucks, average is no good. And by the way, when you start to look up about what average is, man, it's really like, this is the kind of stuff that you get when you look up what average. Like when you try to look up positive quotes about average, this is the kind of stuff you get. Okay, you get these kind of quotes, and I'm not going to read them out loud because they're very negative. Okay, but this is the stuff that you get, and that's inspiring, isn't it? Like you see stuff like that, you're like, I'll never be average. For years as a division, we were average in so many areas. Okay, we had average recruiting results, average productivity per rep, average average development of managers, average development of the event program to where it could have went to or should have went to. If you've heard this before, humor me a little bit. Some of you know this. It took me $84 million of sales, 14 years as a DVM, and we had to actually win a silver cup in 2018 for me to get put on the SLC main stage. And I was pissed. Like, it was like, this sucks when I thought about it. I've been here, I've sold 84 million. I'm one of the top 10 DVMs in the history of the company, and I can't get on this SLC stage. And then I started looking at my vector history, and I realized something. No one wanted to hear from me because I was very average in every part of the business. Like, there wasn't a lot of things that, like, if you're sitting here and this agenda was chocked full of not the Curtises and the Brandons and the Burts, but it was chocked full of a bunch of people who were average at results. You can learn something, but not what you can learn from the people who were on this agenda. Well, I was that average person. And I realized this, you want experts from that. It made sense why I didn't make the agenda. And as I self-analyzed this over time and never getting on the agenda, I realized one very simple thing. I was very average. And you know what I determined in that process? I was the best average manager in the history of the company. That's what I determined. Okay, you know what? I am the best at being average in this company. And at that moment, I also said this. In 2018, we won that silver cup. It took a bunch of average results, but we kind of put all the averages together because we didn't blow anything out of the water, but we got really excellent overall results. So you think about you as in your position. Are you really good at closing Cutco kitchens or ultimates at the booth? But you're below average at maybe like follow-up, doing your work with your clients, like keeping in touch with those people. Below average at marketing, service events. Are you great at maybe big events? Like some of you, I mean, if I can work these big events, I'm great. Well, that's good, but what about all the other things? Because the big events don't happen every single month, every single week throughout the year. And there's other areas of your business that are well below the average. So what ends up happening? Well, what ends up happening is that you don't make it to the level. A boat sinks with holes in it. No boat ever has sunk without holes. It just doesn't sink without a hole being in it. It can have an average paint job, an average seats, an average engine, an average rows, but it doesn't have any holes. And you have a great boat that has a whole bunch of holes, that has a great engine, that looks awesome. It's gonna sink. So what do I realize about the championship mindset? Not that I have to be great at anything. It's good to be great at things, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I train myself this. Just don't be bad at things. Just don't let there be holes in the boat, so to speak. Do away with major weaknesses. Okay. So point number 2 is this. Average is okay. But can I add this to it? Below average is unacceptable if you're a championship mindset. So average is okay, but below average is not. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to ask yourself, kind of a question here related to this average concept. And that is, what are the areas of your life or your business that will become average or better in 2022 for you to become a champion? What are those places that you need to move that? Amy mentioned I love the Kansas City Chiefs, been a big fan long before Patrick Mahomes, by the way. I was there through all the disappointment. God rest their souls this year. Everything will be fine. But I was just going to say this, for years we didn't need the defense to win the championship. We just needed them not to lose it. is what we needed. Like, we didn't need them to be there to win it. We just need them not to lose it. That's it. I need to take these things in my life and go, I got to get them to this average level, because average is okay if everything is there and it moves you through. In 2018, when we won the Silver Cup as a division, I realized that we would have won in 2017 if we would have been better from May 15th till basically June 30th. So I told our managers at the end of that year, or at the beginning of the next year, hey, we have 6 weeks where we have to win in order to win the Silver Cups. And we put a little hashtag, 6 weeks to silver. And it was basically that 6 weeks from May 15th to June 30th. And can I tell you all something? We didn't win any single sales report for that 6-week window of time in 2018. We didn't finish first a single week, but we were so weak in the past in that area that I realized as long as we stay that weak, we'll never win. It will never even compete with somebody like the Rocky Mountain division, the North Star divisions, these other divisions. We'll never even compete with them unless we change this. So we changed that, and we didn't get to greatness in that 6 weeks, but you know what? We became average. And you know what the average led us to? To our strengths, the things like SC2 and our fall and our Decembers. And then it became an advantage for us. Average is okay if you eliminate weaknesses in your business. Ask yourself this question: what area of my business are you going to change in 2022 to get it out of crapness and get it into average or betterness? That's your second point. Third point: work in your area of strength. John Maxwell talks about this all the time. Work in your area of strength, your area of giftedness. Okay. It doesn't mean that you can have weaknesses. So go back to point 2, right? But it means that you have some area of your business, some area of your opportunity where you need to spend a majority of your time and your effort. Because why? Because no one wants to spend all their time on their weaknesses, because the reason it's a weakness to begin with is probably because you won't spend any time on it, because you don't like doing it necessarily, or you're not really great at it. You still have to make that average. And by the way, I would have a suggestion for you on this. If you have areas that you need to improve, accountability coaches, managers, some kind of mentor type person can really help you with those areas of weakness to move them into that average realm. But there are areas of giftedness and strengths that you like doing, and you need to ride those things. You need to own those 1 or 2 or 3 things that are your areas of strengths. I think about the Texoma division and the Great Plains division and the LA divisions and the Southland division, the North Star division, and these big events that they run and how they own those big events. They could have very easily years ago settled in at a $250,000, $500,000, $600,000 type event and been like, that's a really good event. Because years ago, if you were doing $500,000 events, that was massive. And they could have easily settled in, but they pushed the envelope for what? For more boosts. They pushed the envelope for better people working. They pushed the envelope and set higher standards. And they kept saying, this is our area of strength. And they kept moving it and moving it and moving it. So now it's, $1 million, $1.3 million type things. This is an area of strength and running with it concept. The Lone Star division, I can obviously see, our area of strength is recruiting and development of event staffs. In Austin today, there are 35 plus people, from the Lone Star division specifically that are sitting right now at an event, like that are attending this event live right now. We did 700 plus events last year with Dante Reynolds' leadership, $2.8 million in sales. What would that come from? Events. Our strength was, we just need to do events. Now, say a good mall program, things like that, but that was part of the event number. But we know that's our strength. We have to run with our strength. We don't necessarily have that big event yet, but we got to run with our strength. What is your area of strength? If someone asks you, what is your personal area of strength in the event program Vector, in the event program within Vector, what is it that you go, this is what moves the needle the furthest for me? What is it of your business that moves the needle the furthest? What is that area of strength going to be in 2022? What type of CPO is that area of strength going to give you in 2022? And I would just caution you, by the way, depending on what level you're at here, is make sure that your area of strength isn't, hey, I'm going to get to work the blank state fair this year. I'm going to get to work the whatever big event this year. That's not your area of strength. I'm going to get to work that one mall. Okay. That is too limited of a strength. Something that you need to have your strength be something that you can use monthly or weekly. And that's a better strength option for you. So make sure that you do that. So what is the area of strength that you're going to ride in 2022. That is the championship mindset, to take that and make that area of strength something that's really, really a further moving thing for you. All right, my last tip for you is this: have a strategy for growth and for your goals. This is, Amy mentioned one of the areas is I feel like I'm pretty good at the strategic planning end of things. Oh, so I'm going to give you just a couple of quick tips. Have a strategy to put this all together. So what does this mean in the mix? That organizing with the end in mind. Put a note down for yourself. Where do you want to be in 1, 2, or 3 years from now in your sales? So let's just go to this year. What do you want to be this year in your sales? What have you determined is your goal, your objective this year? Is it 200K? Is it 300K? Is it 500K? Go into your calendar and put that into your calendar on December 27th. Like, right into your calendar. Like, December 27th, this is what I'm going to be at sales. And now ask yourself, what do I need to be doing? If I look at the end and go, this is where I want to be, what do I need to be doing to get to that number? Now, some people go, well, I need to sell whatever. Let's say it's $3,000 a week with some strategic big weeks in the mix. Great. That's good. Now, how do you do that? Where are your strategic big weeks? Put that in your calendar on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. And look at every single week from right now till December 27th and say to yourself, how am I going to get to $200,000 in sales? What are the actions specifically, daily, weekly? And visit that calendar every 1 to 3 days that you look at it and go, am I doing the actions? Am I doing the strategies to make that happen? You can have strategies and actions to hit results. You can change those, you can adjust those, but you don't adjust your goals. The championship mindset says don't adjust your goals. This year on December week 4, we had a big week and reports came out and we finally got to pass the North Star division. Thank you for letting us do that, North Star people, by the way, we appreciate it greatly. Dane sent a message to me, and he sent a message to me saying, holy crap, you guys are already at $1.1 million in December. Just put it in perspective, the national record for a division 2 years ago was 760,000. And after 4 weeks, we were at 1.1 million. Last year, that record jumped to 925,000. And we had just crushed it in 4 weeks and still had another week to go. And his response was, that's crazy. My response to that response was this: thank you very much. It's awesome. We're very blessed. But can I show you something? Can I explain to you something? In January, when I put together the strategic plan for 2021 in the Lone Star division, and I have this spreadsheet, the left is the whole spreadsheet, the right is the thing. The whole plan was always to do $1.1 million in December. Even though that was a crazy number to think about, it was always the plan to do that. Crazier than this, in January, I made this spreadsheet to say we're going to do $8.87 million for people that were associated. By the way, this includes non-competitive stuff, people who went to other divisions, et cetera. So if you look at a silver cup report, you go, wait, that doesn't equal, but these were all people who were going to come out of Lone Star. 8.87 million was the number. That's what I put down in January of 2021. And what happened? We did 8.824 million. Now, I have a question for you in this mix. Do you think every week went right? Do you think every recruiting process went right, that every show went right? No, we had multiple shows canceled. We had some of our best shows get moved and canceled. We had some of these things happen. We had people get married when they shouldn't have got married. We had like all kinds of crazy stuff happening across the division. And we had to keep changing the strategy and changing the actions. But you know what never changed? That number at the bottom. It never changed. Because why? Because you don't change your goal. You change your strategies, you change your action, but you start with a strategy. Now, this is also where a mentor, a coach, or someone could be of great value to you. And by the way, let me add this: if you are a mentor or coach, or you're doing those kind of things, I think this is very important that this is part of your coaching process, that you help people put together a strategy and you hold them to that strategy. And I want to remind you this one important point, and put this in your notes forever, that hope is not a strategy. So many people want to grow. They want to be great. They give numbers to their DMs and their DVMs and their coaches and their mentors and go, this is what I'm selling in blank year, 2021, 2022, whatever that year is. And when you ask them, how are you going to do it? They have no idea. They just go, well, I'm going to sell more because it's a different year. Let me just explain to you something. Hope is not a strategy. Suggestion is this: if you've never done something like this before, like you've never put together a strategy kind of concept, Start with something real small, 4 weeks. Just start with a 4-week window, a 6-week window, and go, here's my strategy for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Marry yourself to that strategy for a 4 to 6 week window. You'll screw it up the first time around. Trust me, it took a long time. You go back to point one, right? Stick around for a while, okay, in the process, but have a strategy. Championship mindset. What is a championship mindset? It's these things, sticking around, understanding that average is okay sometimes, that you don't become Curtis JQs overnight. You don't become, these people overnight. This takes time, but run with your strengths. Make sure that you understand that strategy is part of the process. So as you move into 2022 and you start thinking about, your future this year, your future beyond this year, I hope you have a championship mindset. I hope that you have aspirations of winning silver cups, competing nationally every year at whatever level you end up at in this business. But I also hope you realize that there's a process that you need to take to get there. Some of you, by the way, you might need to change one thing on that list. Some of you might need 2 or 3 things. Some of you might need all 4 things. For some of you newer people where you're kind of going, okay, you're intimidating me right now. It's okay. Don't be intimidated. Wherever you stand, this is what I would tell you. Just become a champion of the business, because it's totally worth your time. It's totally worth your effort, totally worth your energy to do that. So stick around, grow yourself, and find out how great you can be in this great business, because the business has a lot to offer you.
Thank you, Stacy, for the wise words. Wow, I wish we could hear the applause. Thank you, Stacy, again. Thank you, Cutco Events, for your support in this events program and for hosting this event. Thank you, speakers, for making this event amazing and doing an excellent job. Thank you, attendees, for being here and for being our future leaders and speakers. We look forward to that. And thank you, Cutco Corporate, for making us a product that is best in class, that changes our lives for the better. That's it, guys. We'll see you guys 2:15 at 1 o'clock for the first Rep Development Conference Zoom meeting post NET. 2:15, 1 p.m. Eastern. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Amy.